Yeah, there's something quite special about mud ponds. I've been discussing this with a few people this week, but I think it's really the mystique. Okay, so it's Sunday morning here in Japan. It's absolutely sun's beaming, really nice day. And yeah, I've decided to have a drive up into the mountains of Yomogihira, which is where the mud pond that I rent from NND is situated. Just having a walk to it now. This is the pond that this year Matt from Prestige Koi has actually bought, all the fish so he could host the event himself. And yeah, just thought I'd come and have a check in and see how they're all doing, show you guys the pond, show you guys the mountains. You see there behind me, just incredible stuff. It's so peaceful up here as well, just crazy. Very high up as well, as you can see. So yeah, so far I had a bit of a cracking trip, to be honest. I was actually supposed to be with Takano this morning doing another Senbetsu selection, but he's had a bit of a mud pond issue going on apparently, so he's had to cancel those plans. But yeah, for now, let me flip the camera around and I'll show you what we're dealing with. Cracking little pond. Say little, it's not that little, to be fair. So yeah, not 100% sure if we're going to actually see anything. I will see if there's a bit of food in the feeder. Say these were compared with, so it was 40 pieces went in here the previous year. Actually 20 pieces, if I remember correctly, gone in this time. Bigger tosai. So we're going to be expecting obviously substantially bigger fish coming out as well. Yeah, water conditions looking really nice. At the minute, I did nip up here the other day. There'd been quite a bit of rain. The overflow, very technical overflow system here was, yeah, quite a lot of water passing through it. That is a genuine problem at the moment, or all this summer actually in Niigata, that the summer's been so hot, there's actually not been a lot of rain. And the problem there is that then water levels on the ponds start to drop. As you can actually see here, look, the water level where my foot is and where my other foot is where it should actually be. So that's been happening in a lot of ponds I've seen, but what that means is then they're not getting the fresh water, so it's a lot harder to manage the pollution in the pond from the manual feeding from the automatic feeder, as you can see. So yeah, so you've got generally warmer temperatures, then the ability that you can't actually feed as much, which will often lead to, you'll still get the growth, but as you've heard on many of my videos, they're not going to get the same volume. And I remember this happening a couple of years ago with some bigger fish. But yeah, just one of the challenges of being a koi breeder, to be fair. It's not easy. You're dealing with nature. Dragonfly there. Amazing. Yeah, dealing with nature. So but Makoto knows what he's doing. He's a super experienced guy. Fantastic at raising fish, fantastic at raising in mud ponds in particular, to be honest. I think that's where I get a lot of my feeding mentality from, the time I've spent with him. He is a guy that likes to get the maximum food in, but we just have to temper it. Not seeing anything so far. Yeah, there's something quite special about mud ponds. I've been discussing this with a few people this week, but I think it's really the mystique. Rie-san, who's working with us with Koi Talk magazine, Koi's all quite new to her, and she was asking me about concrete ponds, mud ponds, and kind of my take is that the concrete pond is actually the most practical. But I mean, the mud pond, you just look at the size of this, hard to replicate. Obviously you're not in control of the environment fully, but you cannot beat that mystique. And literally as I'm talking to you, I'll see if I can flip the camera around in a minute, there's a mud pond down below, and you see there's some koi on the surface feeding at the minute. You can't quite see them fully, and yeah, I think that anticipation and that build up to the harvest, when you've been looking at shadows all summer is something quite special when they eventually come up and you see that result, the condition they're in at that time. It's really quite an unbeatable kind of feeling, to be honest. So yeah, tough one, but I think in Niigata, you know, mud ponds will always be the dominant force. It's the way it's been done for so long. And as Rie was actually telling me, Niigata people don't actually like change all that much, which was quite interesting. I think if we can see, look, if I zoom in, couple of fish up there on the surface, few of them actually feeding. More and more appearing now. Right, so just out on the feeder platform at the minute. Just going to show you what's actually going on with the feeder settings. Actually interested to see myself what they're actually set on. Not something I'd made into for a long time, and what these guys have been doing, in all fairness. But yeah, I don't know if Matt should be slightly worried. I've not even seen a shadow yet. No, I do say that jokingly. But actually, while I'm stood here, then the thought did just cross my mind that there's been massive bear problems up in these mountains again this year. I'm up here on my Todd, and yeah, just thought then, what the fuck would I do, to be fair, if one actually came? There, you could just look at that though for a moment. Absolutely stunning. Anyway, feeder settings. Oh, there was a fish actually. Just spooked that one. There's some power there, bit of size. Right, feeder. So the Fukushin feeders that I tend to use quite a lot back home. Not 100% sure what the chili's all about. I don't know if that's some kind of bear deterrent. It's sinking food we've got. Just going to chuck a bit in, see if we can bait a few fish around this area. So yeah, feeder settings wise, so first feed 4 AM in the morning. 30 seconds, trust me, that's quite a decent feed, that one. And then we're going 6, 8, 10, 12, 2, 4, 6. So finishing the main one at 6, and then oh, that's interesting. So that's not a feed there at 12. Yeah, 30 seconds. So we're on 30 seconds of feed, and we're feeding 4 until 6 in the evening, then stopping. So every 2 hours, which many of you who follow my content will know, it's exactly roughly where I'm at, and that's no coincidence, seeing as though this is one of the guys that actually taught me that in the first place. So yeah, interesting stuff. Let's chuck a few more pellets in just down here, and get back on the bank and see if I can't tempt a few fish over. So just while I'm waiting to see if any fish appear, just a few thoughts on those feeder settings. For those that probably won't know, Japan in the evening time doesn't stay as light as England does during the summer. So by kind of 5:30, 6 o'clock, it's dark, which I can't help but feel that correlates with the last feed. But it is pretty, yeah, kind of 4:30, 5 o'clock, it is getting light already. So one I'll probably ask the guys about, but I'm considering that probably is the thought process of actually having the evening to fully rest and recover, ready for the next day's feeding. But yeah, so yeah, that magical every 2 hours. Water's going to be warm now, given you're going to be sort of 25, 26 degrees quite easily, bare minimum, to be honest. This pond's probably about 50% of it shaded, because as you can see behind me, it is right at the side of where the mountain goes up. But yeah, fascinating. And the fish are a no-show. Matt, don't panic, mate. I'm sure they're in here. We've seen one at least jumping about, probably covered in trichodina. So you can see my car there. I'm going to go up, round, back down to this road here, and then follow it down. You see you can actually come up to these ponds, but that road actually dips down then, goes all along, and behind those trees there is the NND Champion mud pond, which is a phenomenal, absolutely stunning pond. So we'll go and have a look in there, see if we can see anything. There's quite a high banking to get a nice overview. But yeah, there's a bit of a special piece in there. I'll tell you more about that in a minute. Actually, just before I make that journey, you may just see one of the fish jumping again over there. Matt, I really am worried, mate. I mean, I think these must be covered in trick jumping like that. No, in all seriousness, a lot of that jumping sometimes is there's no end of insects on the top of the pond. So that's them attempting to grab hold of one of them and have a nice high protein meal from it. But yeah, the sinking food choice for a lot of the breeders is more predator prevention than anything. It's not always possible to get the nets up, so you'll have probably seen over the top the fishing line there for obviously protecting the surface from herons and stuff like that. But around the side, it's not always possible to get nets up, and it's so much work as well. So the feeders are often positioned, as you'll have seen with that one, further out into the pond, which then means the food is obviously kicked further into the pond as well to keep them away from the edge. And then sinking food obviously keeps the fish down as well and doesn't encourage them to the surface. So that's really the big choice there with that one. Nothing more technical to it. You know, predator prevention out here in the mud ponds in these mountains is huge. And yeah, can't be disregarded because there's no end of times when fish just randomly go missing. And it's for that reason, you know, because something's had hold of it at the pond side. Even just as I'm walking back to the car, I don't know if you guys can see those shadows. These guys must be feeding. Right here, look. It's always deceptive when you see them like this, but trust me right now, I'm just getting so excited wondering what the hell that is. Looks incredible from here. See a few of them now. You just see enough. I can see its skin looks nice, pattern looks nice. Quite a few shower in here, to be honest. Look at that coming right up. And yeah, size wise, obviously this pond is huge, you know, and these look a half decent size. These will be jumbo toe side going this side now. That over there looks superb. As you guys know, I'm a huge fan of NND shower. This is all the same parent set as my Kindai, swimming around back in the UK. So here we are, NND Champion mud pond. I will flip the camera around in a minute, but even just looking through the trees, I can already see the water level seems to be probably a metre, maybe somewhere between half a metre and a metre down. That's just crazy. When you consider that's right up near the surface, that's a huge volume of water that's not in there. And then I can see one of the, must be some protection device against the bears be around the pond. Not 100% sure, hopefully there's nothing that's going to electrocute me to death. But yeah, that's been a huge problem to be honest, with the bears. One of the biggest things up here, obviously they go in and absolutely destroying feeders, trying to get the food out, ripping lids off, all the rest of it. But these feeders are no cheap thing, you know, depending on which model. They're anywhere from, you know, £500–600 upwards, so crazy stuff. And yeah, just one thing that as hobbyists, you know, in Europe we don't have to consider, but huge problem out here. But anyway, I'm going to flip it round. I'll show you the little walk down and the setting, and then I'm just going to have a minute to fathom out what's going on to make sure I don't get 10,000 volts. This is the area. You can see that way up there is where I've just been. Back down here you can see through the trees the size of this pond. Look, it is epic. What a pond. Absolutely insane. Let's say this one here, which is no slouch either, to be fair. Figured it out. Not going to be able to chuck any food in because I probably will get zapped. But what I've got, you can just see that behind me. I think that's a solar powered generator, which is hooked up. I can see it to a cage around the feeder, which is to give those bears a good old zap. I should imagine if they go and try and get hold of it. So I think we'll stay away from that one, to be fair. Yeah, there you go, look. Running all the way over to that bad boy. Yeah, this pond is stunning. These are, to be fair, I mean, obviously a lot of mountains going on. In regards to the kind of mud pond routes, trust me, they get very confusing, and there's a lot to know just getting around to all the breeders and all the different spots without navigation. But yeah, these mountains, Yamogihira, obviously where I've spent the most amount of time, over 20 years now, and all them times in the summer as well, so do know the routes and all the ponds pretty well. If we flipped on the other side and went over to Nishikigoi, for example, dropping down into those valleys, I think it wouldn't be long before I got stranded somewhere. You can see there as well, just as I've walked over to the end, another pond down there. You can see some single coloured Muji varieties there. That pond in general, you know, watercolour with mud ponds is absolutely huge. It can indicate a lot about the clay, what they're good for, the condition of the pond, what's happening with the feeding, all types of different stuff. And I can tell you from what I know, that watercolour there doesn't look particularly great. Should possibly say hence why there's not getting a lot of sunlight, as you can see, which is probably why the particular varieties have been chosen to go in there. Obviously in the same area, same clay, but that's probably likely having an effect, because the preferred colour is more like this of the Champion Mud Pond. There's a bit of a green hue, not a massive one, but a slight one. Some mixed varieties in there, primarily all Go Sankey, no doubt, because that's what these guys are all about. But right there is a really good colour. That water condition right now is stunning. There's no big plumes either. This is one of the things the guys taught me when they're adjusting the feeding levels. So often we look at how calm the pond is. So when the fish, if they're not feeding enough through the feeder, naturally the koi will rummage more in the base of the pond. And you can physically see that because it manifests as the plumes of mud coming up. So the turbidity of the pond completely changes. And that's when generally they'll start adding more food by the feeder to sort of calm that down. But everything looks pretty damn good here, as I would expect. Then we've got other breeders. I know when I've been with Nogami before in the past, you know, primarily Kohaku, really focusing hard on that Bene. And I remember one time I was actually adding plant fertilizer to the pond to produce more algae, to obviously boost that coloration. So crazy stuff. So I've just come down now to see if there's anything over on the far side of the pond actually showing, but nothing yet, not even a shadow. But yeah, this pond, so last year my Kindai showa was raised in here. Superb result, dreamy harvest. Actually got to get her out of the mud, which was phenomenal. But yeah, this year I have got one kohaku in here. I actually bought it as Sansai last year. So my Kindai I bought as Nisai, I bought this as Sansai. It's the absolute best kohaku they had available. It was at their event. Phenomenal piece, really phenomenal piece. Plans for a future, for a very specific reason. I bought her for a nice challenge, see what happens. But yeah, I think she was 67 cm as Sansai, so expecting that to be at least 75 cm this autumn as Yonsai. But trust me, this fish is killer. And this is kind of the last part of me realizing, and I've said this a few times now, I've not paid enough attention to what these guys have been doing with kohaku, you know, and that's a bit shit on me, really, I'd say, because given it's a farm I spend so much time at, it was kind of like, you know, oh, they're breeding kohaku, and always been so focused on the Sankey and the Showa here. It was like all of a sudden the past couple of years I've had a few bits, raised a couple back home, really noticed the Benny being on a completely really unique in its appearance to others that I've had. And then the bodies is the bit I just couldn't ignore. You know how much I bang on about this stuff, but this head shape they've been producing and the whole body power has been phenomenal. Plus they've had some of the early parts of the lineage coming to fruition, you know, 90 plus cm. I think one of them actually has hit the magical meter mark. Now you just sort of start seeing all this and think, wow. But it's those characteristics I've seen, and then now seeing them more and more consistently. The new season Tosai this year, I've been seeing again those heads, those bone structures so prominent and visible. And yeah, so couldn't help myself with that one, because it was just head and shoulders above everything else. You know, to me, a fish that can easily grow, seeing now what the lineage can actually do, a fish that can easily grow to a meter. I think we're going to certainly hit the 90 mark with that one, providing it stays alive. That's a very important part of that one. And yeah, really, I can't say enough. Hence why, you know, this year I've kind of decided that I want the kohaku as one of my project fish to actually raise. It'll be the first time I've had a batch of them. And yeah, later this or next week, should I say, hopefully got something coming together on that one that Fujio has been tempting me in with, to say the least. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they do. But as for this one, exciting stuff, because like I say, that is a really special piece, and actually one of the most expensive fish I've ever bought. So yeah, there we go, second most expensive. Actually thinking about it, I just remembered about a Dainichi fish that I've still got, which was a bit daft, but there we are. That's an insight into that one. Not going to share anything with that fish yet, and still not sure if I will until I'm kind of ready, but trust me, it's a banger. So I've given up trying to find anything down there. Been down there for about 10 minutes, not even quite turned 9 AM. Yeah, it's absolutely baking, but I'm just having a stroll up to those ponds I showed you previously, just down below where I was, which had some koi feeding. So hopefully, just to end this video, I can show you a bit more of that, because it is nice to see. So just round the corner up there is where I was. That's the pond with all the prestigious koi it's fishing. And then it looks like these have already had the breakfast, and oh no, I can see a few still. See quite a lot of shadows actually. Yeah, a few of them guys out and about. I can see them just over there. Again, you can see this watercolour got a bit more of a browny, muddy hue, which when you actually compare that against that one, look, that right there is the more desirable colour. That's not. That might be for a reason. It really depends on the variety. It might just be the location of the pond. You can see it's right next to an embankment again. Yeah, a few fish here, one there, look. Honestly, it's just so exciting. It really is that mystique, the dreaminess of not knowing or what could be coming as well, to be fair. That part of it. A few more here, look. One over there. Buzzing. There'll not be many fish in here either. So there's only 20 in our pond. Probably be a similar kind of amount in here. They look good. Yeah, that water looks superb in that one. Can't see any fish though. I will go and have a look over there if I can just get it right. Nope, fingers come into focus. Back there where that was, I think, is actually one of the bear traps. So that's serious business. This is not actually done by these guys. This is a government thing that they actually get brought in to deal with them. And yeah, problem doesn't seem to be going away though. I think that's 2-3 years on the bounce now. God, it's so hot, so hot. You see there, that one has got some invasive plant growing in it. Again, that's never a good thing. You know, I know these guys work so hard, and something they taught me way back. Because obviously the natural resources of the pond, they don't want anything in there where it can be avoided that affects those. And you know, just, and I remember it clearly, one pond I went to with Fujo in the past, just seen something moving there. Yeah, we was even trying to get, you know, there was a spawning of really heavy area of tadpoles, and yeah, we went back to the car and we were getting something out there, a bucket, just to try and remove as many as possible and dispose of them before they actually became frogs, because there you've got a huge drain on natural resources. So yeah, there you go folks, the bear trap, very tentatively seeing if there's actually anything in it. Crazy. Hope you found that enjoyable. I certainly have, and yeah, insightful as well. You know, this is not stuff that many people actually in the world get to see, so I feel truly blessed to be able to just come and enjoy it like this. Yeah, and just to remind you know, these videos, this whole point of this, the Nishikigoi journal, it's actually a name I've had for quite a while, an idea I've had for quite a while, but not quite put all the pieces together. It's literally, I just want to share with you guys my journey throughout all this. Nothing business related. You're never going to see that on all this. You know, me, my personal fish, the thoughts I've got going on, the journeys, the trips. You know, there might be some insight into projects that I'm working on across the various things, but yeah, just to enjoy it, you know, me as a koi keeper really more than anything. And hopefully just from that you will find and see a lot of insight. Of course, as ever, I'll be pretty open and share as much as I can, but this is literally just me, my phone. None of the guys, you know, they're all busy doing the other stuff. Won't be a lot of editing either, because I ain't got time for that shit. So a lot of it will just be yeah, what comes out the camera. So I say, fingers crossed you enjoy it, and yeah, let's see what comes up next.